Hello once again, everybody, and thank you for joining me in the Bettor's Box. This is BangTheBook.com's MLB betting podcast for Monday, June 24th. I'm your host, Adam Burke. This and every edition of the Bettor's Box presented by our friends over at DSI Sportsbook. BTB and the number 200 is that promo code. 100% deposit match bonus for the Sportsbook. 100% deposit match bonus for the live casino at BetDSI. It's only a game until you bet it. Usually a Monday, Thursday format with the Bettor's Box here. Not going to do a show on Thursday. My mom's having a medical procedure done. I'm going to be there for that. So not going to do a show on Thursday this week. We'll come back with another show on Monday of next week, which means our next show will feature a Monday Mailbag at Skating Tripods on Twitter or adam@bangthebook.com via email to send in your questions, comments, whatever else you want to talk about there. Also, adam@bangthebook.com. If you want to get on the list for the email notes for the show. I know I talk about a lot of things here, sometimes do so in very rapid-fire fashion. So adam@bangthebook.com, a good way to get the notes for the program. My daily MLB picks and tips piece has been updated. Have a preview for this week's golf event. We've got UFC coming up later this week, so we'll chat about that. We've also got all 32 NFL season win totals previews posted over at the website right now. We're going to have a change to the college football format. We're not going to do all 130 teams. As it turned out, there wasn't a whole lot of equity in that for us. So we will be looking to do something a little bit different that will be coming soon here to give you some stuff for the lead up to the season. But I have written 3 things for college football already, looking at new Power 5 and Group of 5 head coaches, and then also my home field advantage post. So you check those out over at bangthebook.com. And finally, like I said, no show coming up here this week on Thursday. Should be back on the air next Monday. All right, so the regular format here for the Monday edition of the show, we'll start with the Monday Mailbag. Then we'll go beyond the box score, take a look down the lines at some line moves that happened over the weekend, give you a pick for tonight's action, and then preview the week ahead. So a lot of good stuff coming your way here today on this edition of the Bettor's Box. We'll start things off first with an email question from Bo via email. Says, can you recommend the best way to track my bets? Is there a software out there that works? I see some people use Excel spreadsheets. Maybe you can even share with us what method you use to track your plays and results. Yeah, there are apps out there. Obviously, the Action Network app, probably the one that everybody knows the most. One that you can certainly do will calculate a lot of different things for you, and they've been doing a lot of enhancements to that with the ability to load props and first fives and all that type of stuff. So a lot of people do use the Action Network app. But you can see my baseball spreadsheet every day in my picks and tips article over at bangthebook.com. That'll give you an idea of how you want to set one up for Major League Baseball, or maybe you want to obviously modify it. But I'm not real smart when it comes to Excel or Google Sheets. You can automate it if you want. That's something that you can do very easily in terms of tracking your ROI, in terms of your units won, your win percentage, stuff like that. All very easy to do through those different spreadsheets. But one thing I would recommend as far as tracking goes, you want to track closing line value, also known as CLV, especially in the really efficient markets like the 6 major sports, NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL, college basketball, college football, and also soccer. Soccer tends to be a pretty efficient market as well. Tracking your CLV is important because it's one of the best indications of future success in the sense that if you're regularly beating the market, you're on what's usually the sharper side, especially if it's an efficient market. Then also, it certainly helps your bottom line as well. If you can get that minus 120 instead of a minus 130, that play does lose, you save yourself a tenth of a unit there. Or, obviously if you use the percentage scale, you save yourself a little bit that way as well. But you want to make sure you're tracking your closing line value because it's a good indication, especially over the long term, if this is something that you can have success with. If you're constantly getting out there and beating the market. And one other thing you might want to do as well, as you're tracking your closing line value, look at the odds history for a game. All the odds screens have these available. See the times when the lines were moving. Try to figure out when is the best time to enter the market. Obviously, in a lot of cases, it's with the opening line. In football, the NFL and college football, you're going to get the best of the number when that soft opener comes out and the market hasn't been beat, into an efficient number at that point in time. Injuries do play a role, stuff like that. Baseball playing the overnights. Sometimes you can get a line overnight that's not going to be there. If you can read the market accurately, that's a really beneficial thing for you. And of course, being able to track your closing line value, a good idea as well. So my spreadsheet for Major League Baseball is in that picks and tips piece on a daily basis. I do rotation number, both teams, side total first five, the price, the closing line value, all that type of stuff. That's what I do in my spreadsheet in particular. So check out that picks and tips piece over at bangthebook.com. That'll give you some kind of idea on how to put together a spreadsheet. At Kez2109 says, can you give an update on team batting average versus fastballs, breaking balls, and off-speed pitches? Yeah, I can. Why not? We'll sort of extend this and maybe open this up to the Beyond the Box Score segment. But as we look here, and again, this is all queries from baseballsavant.com, the home of StatCast on the internet. For fastballs, four-seam, two-seam, cutter, and sinker. That is your four pitches in the fastball classification. Top batting average, Minnesota Twins at 303, Rockies and Yankees both 293, Braves 289, Dodgers 288, Padres 285, Astros 283, Rays 282, Diamondbacks and White Sox, interestingly enough, tied at 280. So that's your top 10 there in batting average. Again, the Twins 10 points clear of anybody else. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the show here. The Giants bringing up the rear, 241, Blue Jays 243, Tigers 248, Orioles 250, the Marlins, 255, Phillies 259, Reds 262, Indians 265, A's and Brewers, interestingly enough, at 270. So that's your bottom 10 in batting average. The league average 273. So as you see here, Diamondbacks and White Sox are tied for 10th, only 7 points higher than the league average. You've got the bottom 10, 270 there in 20th or 21st, as it were, 273. So again, a lot of teams falling close to that range. You do have some outliers out there. The Twins, 30 points above that. Rockies and Yankees, 20 points above that. The Blue Jays, 30 points underneath it. Giants, 32 points below that. So again, Twins are tops. Giants are bottoms, 273, the league average. Anywhere from 303 to 241. The spread across the league. Now, WOBA, weighted on base average. Twins at 396, Braves 395, Yankees 383, Dodgers 377, Mariners 374, Astros 372, Cubs and Nationals at 369, Rockies 367, Brewers 366. Those are your top 10 teams in weighted on base average against fastballs. The bottom five, Marlins 309, Giants 312, Tigers 315, Orioles 322, Blue Jays 325. So Giants, Blue Jays, Tigers, Orioles, Marlins, all in the bottom five in just about every offensive category you could think of. You've got the Pirates and the Phillies at 339. So they're tied for 25th, and that's a big jump from those bottom five teams. So that's your top 10 and your bottom 7 in weighted on base average against fastballs. Now we look at off-speed pitches. Off-speed pitches are split-fingered fastballs, changeups, forkballs, and screwballs. So primarily here we're looking at success against changeups and splitters because I don't think anyone really throws a forkball or a screwball anymore. Rangers 277, Pirates 264, Twins and Angels 252, Rockies 248, Dodgers 246, the A's and the Rays at 243, the Blue Jays, ironically enough, 241, then the Brewers 240, league average is 224 on that pitch type of splitters, changeups, forkballs, and screwballs. The bottom of the league, the Cardinals at 180. Very interesting there when the Cardinals take on anybody with a splitter or a changeup. They really struggle in that matchup. Giants 185, Royals 189, Reds 191, Marlins 193, the Yankees 197, Indians 201, Orioles 206, Padres 207, and the Mets 208. Again, league average 224, but some interesting ones here. The Rangers hitting off-speed stuff very well. The Pirates hitting off-speed stuff very well. The Reds not. The Yankees not. That's a really interesting one there. The Indians, I've talked at length about their problems with changeups this year. You can see it here playing out in the numbers. And then also the Padres. Again, the Padres, while they're not top 10 against fastballs, they're in the middle of the pack, but they're near the bottom of the pack in batting average against off-speed pitches. We'll see them again here in a minute. In terms of WOBA, weighted on base average against off-speed, again, primarily splitters and changeups, Rangers 351, Dodgers 333, Twins 320, Rays 320, Brewers 315. The bottom five, the Cardinals 219, Marlins 225, Indians 234, Giants 236, Royals 245. So again, looking at off-speed pitches, the Brewers and the Rangers, two teams that have very high levels of success hitting breaking balls. Dodgers and Twins, not a surprise. They just hit mostly everything. But the Rangers and the Brewers, not as great against fastballs, very, very good against off-speed stuff. That's something you can keep in mind, an angle that you can look to exploit. Again, the Brewers tied for the bottom 10 in batting average against fastballs, in the top 10 in batting average against off-speed stuff. So not to say that they hit off-speed better than fastballs, but simply to say that they're not going to be as affected by those off-speed pitches as some teams will be. Now the big one here, breaking balls. That encompasses sliders, curveballs, knuckle curves, knuckleballs, and the eephus, which not a whole lot of eephuses being thrown out there, but still got teams that fare well and teams that don't, primarily against sliders and curveballs. Red Sox batting .256, Braves .249, Rockies .241, Astros also .241, Pirates .240. The league average here, .220 on sliders and curveballs. Mentioned the Padres were coming up again. Here's where they are. A 174 batting average against sliders and curveballs for the Padres. They don't hit changeups. They don't hit sliders. They don't hit curveballs. So when they face a guy at 60% fastball, they're in good shape. When they face a guy at 45% fastball, they're not. So maybe an angle that I need to look to exploit a little bit more here as we go forward. The Blue Jays 186, Reds 191, Indians 194, Cardinals making another appearance at 202. The Cardinals will hit fastballs. The Cardinals will not hit breaking balls and off-speed pitches. So a big part of their offense is hitting the fastball. If they're facing a guy that doesn't throw a whole lot of fastballs, you probably want to look to fade the Cardinals in that situation. As far as weighted on base average goes, Red Sox 310, Twins and Astros 309, Rockies 304, Braves 302, Padres 232, Reds 240, Blue Jays 245, Royals 255, Marlins and Indians 261. So again, some big takeaways here. Number one, good offenses hit fastballs. Twins, Braves, Yankees, Dodgers, Astros, Mariners, Cubs, Nationals, all top 10 in WOBA against fastballs. The Padres cannot hit breaking balls and off-speed pitches. Neither can the Cardinals. And what's interesting about that, those are two very right-handed heavy lineups, both of them. So it does make sense when you get those right-handed breaking balls or even breaking balls from lefties, you got some problems with those. So the Cardinals and the Padres, two teams that are very bad against breaking balls and off-speed pitches. The Rangers, very good against changeups. Pretty decent team against breaking balls and sliders as well. Not doing as much against fastballs as you would expect. And the Rockies, very good across the board. But one of the reasons that they can have success against off-speed and breaking stuff, it doesn't move as much at Coors Field. There's less resistance on the baseball. The rotation's not as tight. It's not going to move as much. So that's why you don't worry as much about the Rockies at Coors Field against really anybody, because they have an easier time of hitting than they will out on the road, which is why that Coors Field effect is a big deal at home as well as on the road. So again, at Skating Tripods on Twitter, Adam at bangthebook.com to send me any Monday mailbag questions. Let's go beyond the box score here, and let's go ahead and start with a look at the Marlins versus the Phillies, and the Marlins coming away with a sweep in this series. And by the way, the Miami Marlins, third in F-WAR with starting rotations here in the month of June. They're second in ERA, third in FIP, lowest home run to fly ball percentage in baseball for their starters here in the month of June. And the Phillies only scored 6 runs off of Sandy Alcantara, Eliezer Hernandez, and Jordan Yamamoto in this series. Lots of lineup shifting right now for the Phillies without Andrew McCutchen. And I thought that the McCutchen injury would hurt them. He's played a pretty okay outfield. He's been very good at the plate. They can't figure out a lineup. Bryce Harper hitting leadoff now. Rhys Hoskins bumped up to second. Gene Segura dropped down to fifth. Gabe Kapler is looking for answers right now, and he's not finding them. The rotation is in a state of flux. A lot of multi-inning relief appearances as they try to get somebody to get outs for them. Lots of weird things going on for the Phillies here. And I mentioned them as a fade team. I wish I would have followed through with it more. Obviously, 3 big underdog tickets cashing on the Marlins here this weekend. But I saw this coming with the Phillies. It's come to fruition, and unfortunately, much like the rest of the season, I haven't been able to take advantage of some of the opportunities that have been out there. Now, as we stay in the NL East, the Braves took 2 out of 3 from the Nationals. However, I'm going to stay on this Nationals bandwagon. Yes, they lost the series, but they had 38 at-bats with a runner in scoring position in these 3 games. They were 8 for 38 with those chances, so they just didn't cash in enough of them. A big bullpen disaster on Saturday, wound up getting Trevor Rosenthal DFA'd, but I'm not jumping off the Nationals bandwagon. I think they're still in good shape here, still playing well offensively. We'll talk about them a little bit more in the show as well. How about the Braves, though? What a month of June for the Braves. They lead baseball by 2.1 F-WAR among position players in the month of June, 6.9 their aggregate F-WAR with their position players here in June. The Dodgers, 4.8, they're second. The Braves have a 380 weighted on base average this month, 548 slugging percentage. That's the highest by 50 points in the month of June over the Cleveland Indians, amazingly enough. Braves have hit 45 home runs this month. But here's the thing. When you get these really big outlier performances, and I don't mean to take anything away from the Braves. They're a very, very good team, a phenomenal offense. But the market's going to play against how well they've played in the month of June. They have a 133 weighted runs created plus, which means they've been 33% better than league average offensively in the month of June. That's 15 points higher than anybody else. They cannot sustain this pace. And they're a good team. They may very well win the NL East. That certainly appears to be a thing right now. They're not this good. We've seen the Twins kind of regress a little bit in the month of June. They've still been very good, but they have been a little bit more pedestrian than they were in the month of May. I would expect that to happen with the Braves. And again, not a knock on them, but just simply the fact that they're outperforming a lot of expectations right now. They have, they're putting together historic splits for this month. That's not going to stay around. And also, you get the Braves bullpen here in the month of June. 2.92 ERA, 4.27 FIP, 4.45 xFIP. So some big-time regression coming with their bullpen as well. When the offense regresses, as it will, the bullpen could regress at the same time. So the market will be playing against the Braves here. When you get these teams that rattle off 7 or 8 wins in a row, or they're doing something that's not sustainable, the market comes in against that. I would expect money to come in against the Braves here sooner rather than later, market-wide, and we're kind of seeing it here today as well with Julio Teheran against John Lester. The Pirates with a sweep of the San Diego Padres. Maybe there's life in that season win total over bet after all. One of the most frustrating teams in baseball this season, though, is the Pirates. When you look at this series, Joe Musgrove, great start on Friday, set the tone. Padres cannot hit breaking balls. I should have been on the Pirates in that one. I'm pissed off that I wasn't, but another example there of the Padres really struggling against right-handed breaking balls. Then on Saturday, Craig Stammen with a blow-up. Back end of the bullpen attrition starting to become a thing for the Padres here this season. And then they cap it off with the Kirby Yates blown save on Sunday. First one of the year for him. Then Phil Maton and Matt Whistler blowing another lead late. Padres better find some bullpen depth, man. They are 27th in bullpen ERA in the month of June. Some of those guys worked very hard early in the season. Yates and Stammen in particular. Stammen has now found that regression. Will it hit Yates? We'll have to wait and find out. But with this Padres team, so many holes. Young starting staff they're trying to protect. I've talked a lot about their offensive shortcomings. Now the bullpen becoming a primary issue. The Padres probably a fade team in a lot of matchups here as we go forward. Yankees took 3 out of 4 from the Astros here. Astros did finally stop the slide on Sunday, but Ryan Presley getting rocked on Saturday. Roberto Osuna's had some problems here recently as well. Lots of use for those guys early on in the season. Then they get used here in this series a little bit, and Presley with that blown save on Saturday. The Astros 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position on Friday. It's important to look at those RISP stats. If teams are still getting opportunities, much like the Nationals were in that series, you look for some positive regression offensively for them in those situations. I would expect that for the Astros here. They'll get back on track. They've dropped what? They dropped 6 or 7 in a row before Sunday's win. They'll be just fine. I don't know if now is the time to bet on them, but they'll be just fine here sooner rather than later. By the way, I just want to mention here, talking about The Padres with some blown saves, the Astros with some bullpen hiccups of their own. Bullpens in general this year, a 4.50 ERA, 4.49 FIP, 4.51 xFIP on the season, 14.7% home run to fly ball percentage. When you look over the last 5 years, including this half season here so far, 2018, 4.08 ERA, 4.06 FIP, 4.13 xFIP, 12.1% home run to fly ball percentage. 2017, 4.15 ERA, 4.16 FIP, 4.27 xFIP, 12.8% home run percentage. 2016 and 2015, ERAs of 3.93 and 3.71 respectively, 3.99 FIP, 3.83 xFIP. This is the second highest bullpen ERA ever at 4.50. 2000 is the highest one. 1999 third at 4.48. All the steroid era years are the highest years for bullpen ERA. Then 2006, the eighth highest at 4.22. So we could potentially set records for bullpen futility this season. A 4.50 ERA is massive. Massive. Highest it's been since 2006, and that was 4.22. So this has been a really bad year for bullpens. And it's kind of funny because you get the opener concept. Maybe the bulk reliever is kind of having a little bit of an impact here. But still, these are substantial jumps. And I don't know if it's a bullpen overuse thing. I don't know if it's hitters coming up through the ranks being better able to hit velocity. I don't know what it is. But this is one of the worst years ever for Major League Baseball bullpens. And I don't know if there's an end in sight. So you may want to be looking at playing a lot more first fives as the season goes along. Some very bad bullpen beats here this weekend. Again, bullpens in general, second highest bullpen ERA ever. I think it's the second highest bullpen FIP ever as well. Lots of home runs, lots of blowups, lots of issues. It's crazy to see what's gone on with bullpens here so far this season. Finally, one real quick series to wrap up here. The Reds and the Brewers. The Reds scored 28 runs in 4 games in that series, 7 runs per game. For an offense that's had a lot of issues here so far this season, and they only get a split out of it. Jimmy Nelson was not good in the first game. Tanner Roark was. But then Sonny Gray with some regression. Luis Castillo with regression. Anthony DeSclafani knocked around. So for the Reds here, a little bit of a reversal of roles here with the offense performing well, the pitching staff not performing well. I don't know if that's predictive in any sense here going forward, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I want to take a look at how the Reds scored so many runs in this series, still only wound up with a split. I'm going to do something a little bit different here in terms of the down the line segment. I'm going to roll through some line moves, but I want to talk about something else here as we go along. And as we look at Friday, a very heavy move on on Aaron Nola. That move did not work out. Sandy Alcantara and the Marlins coming away with a 2-1 victory there. Nola was fantastic. The offense just didn't really support him much. But I want to look at this Walker Buehler and German Marquez matchup, the Rockies and the Dodgers. Buehler shoved, struck out 16. Looks like he's back. But I want to talk about the importance of having multiple outs and the importance of researching a sports book. And this is something that will be a challenge as legalization continues to spread across the country, in that you may only have 2 or 3 different options within your own state. That's one of the luxuries of the offshore market. And I know there are all the downsides, all the pros and cons, but you've got so many different places to shop around. And I wanted to talk about this here with this Buehler and Marquez matchup. I'll also talk about it with Chris Sale and Trent Thornton. When you look at a cross-section of the sports books out there for that game, and there was a move on Walker Buehler in that one. BetOnline, plus 175 on the Rockies, minus 185 on the Dodgers. Pinnacle, plus 177 on the Rockies, minus 192 on the Dodgers. So you see there the 15-cent line at Pinnacle on the higher juice, the 10-cent line up to minus 185 at BetOnline. Bookmaker with the 20-cent line, minus 195 on the Dodgers, plus 175 on the takeback for the Rockies. So biggest price on the Dodgers, but not the best price on the Rockies with that 20-cent line. 5 dimes with a 10-cent line on that one, minus 190 on the Dodgers, and then plus 180 on the Rockies. Now you look at Bovada, minus 194 on the Dodgers. Okay, that's competitive with the market. but plus 167 on the takeback with the Rockies, the lowest price of the 6 books that I'm looking at here. And then my bookie, minus 210 on the Dodgers, plus 170 on the Rockies. So highest price on the Dodgers by 15 cents, and the second lowest price on the comeback on the Rockies. So it's very important to have a sports book with dime lines, maybe 15-cent lines at the most on some of these higher-priced games. You don't want to have a 40-cent line like my bookie had, plus 170, minus 210, or like Bovada, minus 194 and plus 167. Try to find the book that's the smartest for you. You obviously want the fairest price on both sides. It's a very important thing for you to be looking at out there in the marketplace. And it's, again, one of those things that you want to look at when you're able to track your bets. So check out Sportsbook Reviews over at bangthebook.com. Get the apps in Vegas when you're out there and shop around. If you're in a different state, get all the apps that you can, or just know which sports books have the best spreads, have the best 10-cent lines. Do they have 15-cent lines? And make sure that you're playing at those. Get the most out of your dollar that you can, win or lose. Get the best price. It's a very important thing for you to keep in mind here with baseball and with any other sport, especially football coming up, stuff like that. Find yourself a book that if you don't really want to buy points, but let's say you want to buy a half point. Find a book that gives it to you for minus 120 instead of minus 130. Find a book that's going to give you plus 7 flat instead of plus 7 minus 120 or minus 125. These are very important things to your bottom line, things that you want to factor into the equation. We saw money come in on James Paxton against Brad Peacock. A lot of Yankees money is going to come in now that they're healthy. Saw a fade of Chris Sale a little bit against Trent Thornton. But here's another one. Bet Online, minus 290 on the Red Sox, plus 260 on the Blue Jays. Pinnacle, plus 261 on the Blue Jays, minus 288 on Toronto. That's the best price out there in the market. Bovada, plus 255 and minus 310. My bookie, plus 260, minus 340. You can see here the differences in price between the different books that are out there with these big favorites. And it's going to be that way with smaller lines as well. So very important to find the best book that you can in terms of getting the best odds that are out there. Saturday, we saw some very heavy Zach Wheeler money hit the board against Jose Quintana. That line dropped as much as 40 cents at some of the shops out there. Vince Velasquez and the Phillies took money against the Marlins. Money coming in against the Marlins in all 3 games of that series. Marlins winning all 3 of them anyway. Saw some money come in against Anibal Sanchez and the Nationals against the Braves. Mike Foltynewicz was awful. It was a fade of Anibal Sanchez there in that one. Nationals bullpen did wind up blowing that game. On Saturday, we saw lots of openers throwing off the opening lines, a lot of line moves, stuff like that. Can be a little bit tougher here to track your lines. Keep that in mind. If you are betting and you are tracking your results, it may not be a line move. It may just be because there was a different opener or something like that in that game. So you got to keep that in mind as you're surveying the market here. Pretty quiet day on Sunday for line moves. We saw a little bit of a fade of Merrill Kelly for the Diamondbacks against the Giants. We saw Daniel Norris take money against the Indians and Zach Plesac. Always interesting to see Norris take money, but the Indians taking care of business in that one. A lot of Homer Bailey money for the Royals against the Twins. Homer Bailey's been really, really good of late. The market hasn't really caught up to it. It's hard to bet the Royals on a daily basis, to say the least. But Homer Bailey's been quite good here in recent weeks. So he'll probably keep taking money out there in the marketplace. Saw some A's money hit the board against the Rays. That didn't work out. It was Brett Anderson against Ryan Stanek, the opener, in that one. Monday, we're seeing some John Lester money come in. Big fade of Julio Teheran in that one. Total moving up in that game as well, with Teheran a regression candidate, Lester with no command, then also the wind blowing out. It opened 11, got to 11.5 very quickly. Priced me out for the article, but a lot of over money coming in that game. Seeing a slight fade of Clayton Kershaw out there. Zach Greinke taking a little bit of money. We'll see if that line keeps coming down throughout the day. A bigger fade of the Rockies and John Gray. But I'm on the Rockies for the first 5. It's the only play that I like here today. This is one of those ex-WOBA moves. Expected weighted on base average as listed over at Baseball Savant. Big component for a lot of modelers out there. Drew Pomerantz is a big ex-WOBA positive regression candidate. So that's why money coming in on the Giants here for this one. But I disagree. I like John Gray and the Rockies at least for the first 5, but I don't really like going up against that Giants bullpen, one of the best in baseball. Some heavy money coming in on Eduardo Rodriguez against Lucas Giolito. Giolito stepping up in class once again. Tough start for him. We'll see how he fares. And Rodriguez, one of those ex-WOBA positive regression candidates. Adam Plutko taking money against Brad Keller and the Royals tonight. Keller is a negative ex-WOBA regression candidate. Some pretty big splits there. We'll see if the forecast allows that game to be played. All right, let's take a look at the week ahead here. 4 series and then 6 games I want you to watch some line moves for. Braves and Cubs. Best offense and maybe the best team in baseball here in the month of June in the Braves going up against the Cubs. Julio Teheran, John Lester today. Max Fried, Albert Adzole tomorrow. Dallas Keuchel, Yu Darvish Wednesday. To be determined for the Braves on Thursday. Probably going to be Mike Soroka, and then Tyler Chatwood going for the Cubs in that one. I think the market probably moves towards the Cubs in this series. Like I mentioned, the Braves kind of an outlier, an overachiever a little bit, so much better offensively than anybody else. Probably going to come back to the pack some. Whether it happens in this series or not, I don't know. But I think the Cubs probably do take money in this series more often than not. Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. You got Clayton Kershaw, Zach Greinke tonight. Dodgers have not yet named a starter for tomorrow against Robbie Ray. And then Walker Buehler and Taylor Clark on Wednesday. Dodgers already up 14 games in the division, 7.5 for home field advantage. Maybe it's 13 games in the division, 7.5 for home field advantage. Will there be any let-up? Because when you start looking ahead to the All-Star break, these teams are playing a lot of games in a lot of days. Will the Dodgers maybe wear down, maybe let off the gas a little bit? I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm looking at from them, especially when they're going to be a big favorite in a lot of the games that they play. So maybe a time to throw some darts, throw some fades on the Dodgers, just kind of thinking that maybe they let up a little bit. But again, that's just narrative-based, and it can be tough to get down that path when it comes to betting on baseball. Nationals and the Marlins. You got Max Scherzer, Trevor Richards tomorrow, Patrick Corbin, Zach Gallen on Wednesday, Steven Strasburg, Sandy Alcantara on Thursday. Will this Nationals offense stay hot against the third-best starting staff in baseball in the month of June? Marlins Park is a great pitcher's park. Will the Nationals be able to keep this offense going? With Scherzer, Corbin, and Strasburg, 3 big lines here in this series. I'll be curious to see how the betting action goes for this one. My guess is that we probably see money on Scherzer, Corbin, and Strasburg. I think we see all 3 National starters take money. My thought process behind that is, the Marlins got faded in every game in Philadelphia. I would expect the same here against the Nationals, a team that's doing much better offensively than the Phillies are. Final series look at here, the Rays and the Twins. Blake Snell, Kyle Gibson tomorrow. Mentioned Blake Snell on last week's show talking about his decreased spin rates. I think he's a fade candidate. If I get the Twins as a home dog, I will love them here on Tuesday night. Charlie Morton, Jake Odorizzi Wednesday. Ryan Stanek, the opener against Martin Perez on Thursday. Talked about this before, though, with the Minnesota Twins. Finally stepping up, facing some legitimate competition. How will they fare in these series against better teams? All right, 6 games I want you to keep an eye on here for some line moves over the next couple of days. Tuesday night, the over between the Indians and the Royals. You've got Glenn Sparkman and Shane Bieber, 2 negative regression candidates in the ex-WOBA department. That's a total that will probably go up at least a half a run, maybe a full run, so something for you to watch there. I would also expect some over money to hit the board between the Mariners and the Brewers on Tuesday night. Marco Gonzalez going for the Mariners, Zach Davies for the Brewers, looking for some regression out of Davies. Then Gonzalez, the guy that the market has faded quite often here of late, probably see some Brewers money hit the board in that game as well. And then finally on Tuesday, the Reds and the Angels. Tyler Mahle against Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney's taken a lot of money of late. I would expect that again on Tuesday. So get Heaney on the overnights, then decide if you want to keep Mahle, who's been very good against righties. So maybe you want to buy back a little bit with that game. But I think Andrew Heaney takes money early. We see maybe some Reds buy back a little bit later in that one. Wednesday, the White Sox and the Red Sox. I think Chris Sale money comes in very heavy against the White Sox and Reynaldo Lopez. Also, the Indians and Royals series, Trevor Bauer on the bump on Wednesday. I think Bauer takes money. And then Texas and Detroit on Wednesday. Good matchup between Mike Minor and Matt Boyd. I think Matt Boyd is the preferred side there. We've seen the market fade Minor a lot, very high left on base percentage. Tiger's a little bit better against lefties. And we see Matt Boyd money coming on Wednesday. So if you want to get in front of the market with those 6 games, I'm pretty confident that the way that I talked about those games is the way that I would expect the lines to move. Again, no show on Thursday. Going to be there for my mom's medical procedure. So, thoughts and well wishes would be very much appreciated. But no show coming up here on Thursday this week. I'll be back with the Bettor's Box once again here on Monday. That'll do it for me. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And remember that you'll never strike out when you're in the Bettor's Box.